Okay, as you can probably tell by the title of this video, I just got done seeing the new Transformers movie, Transformers: Age of Extinction. This movie came out, I guess it would be July 27th, 28th. Give me a second, let me think this through. 27th. Yep, it'd be the 27th uh, of July, which was yesterday. And so it's the fourth movie in the Transformers franchise, the first to not star Shia LaBeouf as Sam Witwicky, which I'll get to that toward the end of the video, but I'm going to try not to do too many spoilers, but I want to talk about the premise of the movie. And the premise of the movie is that after the events of Dark of the Moon, which was the most recent movie before that, the humans have decided that they don't want any Transformers on Earth at all. So they go on a crusade. They give asylum to a couple Autobots, and then they decide that they're going to hunt down the Decepticons themselves. But then, as it turns out, there's a CIA kind of strike force led by Harold Attinger, who's played by Kelsey Grammer, and they're hunting all of them. They're killing Autobots and whatnot, and Decepticons. They're kind of doing it indiscriminately. And so the movie opens up with like a prehistoric thing, like with dinosaurs, and they show that the dinosaurs actually died not from a meteor, but from this thing called the seed, that is basically a giant bomb that turns everything in the explosion into basically the metal that the Transformers are made out of, and so that's how the Transformers were made. And they use that as the basis, and so in the very beginning you meet Cade Yeager, who's played by Mark Wahlberg, and he's an inventor, and he lives with his daughter Tessa Yeager, played by Nicola Peltz, and then later on you meet another important character is her boyfriend Shane Dyson, played by Jack Rayner, and he finds Optimus and he helps repair them, and then basically in the process he gets put out on the run from the government and from a Transformer named Lockdown, who at this point who's basically a bounty hunter, and he's out to try to get Optimus. He's out to get him to collect the bounty, I'm assuming. And so basically through a whole confluence of events, Attinger is working with Lockdown so that he can get the seed, so that he can sell it off to this guy who's head of a company that makes Transformers called Joshua Joyce, and he's basically just trying to make better Transformers. And so and he makes two decent ones, and then again I'll get to that for part of the plot later on. And so yeah, it's basically just the Autobots fight for survival, and there's this notion of we just talked about in the trailer of why should the Autobots fight for the humans who are out to kill them. And then Cade, Mark Wahlberg's character, goes on and he says, if you don't believe in us now, believe in what we can be. And so that kind of happens later on in the film. And yeah, all in all, it's a pretty cool film. A lot of the Autobots, you see a lot of return of some Autobots. Like specifically, you see the return of Optimus Prime. You see Bumblebee, of course, because those two are kind of the two main Autobots. And you also see Ratchet for a little bit, very early on in the movie. But then probably probably my personal favorite Autobot introduced is Hound, who's voiced by John Goodman. I just thought he was a really cool character. Out of all the Autobots, he seemed the coolest. But and part of the appeal of this movie, which I assume was the appeal for a lot of people, was the fact that the Dinobots were in it, in which you see Grimlock, who's the leader of the Dinobots, at least in like the animated series, and he's basically the giant T-Rex thing, and you see him and three other ones, and they assist the Autobots later on in the film. But I guess talking about the film, I really like this film. Speaking of the other Transformers movies, the first Transformers movie was good. Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, I definitely feel is the best of all the Transformers movies. I feel that that at least at this point, it's still my personal favorite. And I don't think any it will be really hard for them to top that. And then I don't like Dark of the Moon, for a couple of reasons. One, I think the plot of that movie is kind of shoddy at times. I don't know. The plot just it doesn't. I don't know. I don't know what it is about it. I just don't like it. And then also the fact that and I understand it's for personal issues and for between Megan Fox and Michael Bay, but the fact that they just wrote her character out, that in the third movie, that there was basically really great character development between her character and Shia LaBeouf's character for 2 movies, and then it's done. And it's like you kind of get that oh, she broke up with me and my heart's broken kind of thing. I think in the beginning, I don't remember. It's been a long time. I purposefully avoid watching Dark of the Moon, but I believe it's like that, and it's not mentioned ever again. Don't get me wrong. I like the chick who replaced her, but who eventually became his new girlfriend. But I just didn't like that they just were so willing to drop that. So I feel like this breathes a breath of fresh air to this movie franchise with new characters. Mark Wahlberg does a fantastic job. Mark Wahlberg is the guy who plays a lot of action movies, but he's also funny at the same time, and he adds that to this movie. But definitely, I think the comedy award for this movie goes to Stanley Tucci, who plays Joshua Joyce. Throughout the whole Hong Kong section, he's just a laugh. He's just a great, a funny character. At one point, they're trying to run through a hallway, and there's these 3 old Chinese ladies walk down the hallway, and they can't get past them. And so he just goes, "How do you say get the fuck out of my way in Chinese?" And that was just like a great line. I don't know. That was definitely funny. I also like the main relationship of this movie wasn't a romantic one. Instead of it kind of maybe the movie focusing on Tessa and Shane, who are boyfriend and girlfriend becoming closer, it focuses on Tessa and her father, Cade and his daughter. So Mark Wahlberg and Nicola Peltz, like their relationship getting better throughout the course of the movie. I felt like that was again a nice different pace to set itself to than previous movies. This movie was like 2.5 hours long too. It was weird, but I feel like the action. This is the best they've gotten the action in a Transformers movie. I think yet. I think the action is definitely there in this movie, where in the very beginning there's like a car chase scene, whereas at the same time Lockdown and Optimus are fighting, and you kind of see both this car chase and that going on at the same time. And then there's the later part of the film when the Dinobots get involved, and that's just epic. That whole last, I'd say 30-45 minutes of the movie is amazing. It's an awesome bit of the movie. And like there's also plenty of human action. Mark Wahlberg's character Cade, he gets into a fight with like a mercenary or something. I'm not sure what the guy's name is, but he gets in a long fist fight with him, and it's the first time in like a Transformers movie that the male lead has like a big say, whereas like Shia LaBeouf will usually find some item that he needs to give to the Autobots or something, like, or he's responsible for an item. But Mark Wahlberg's character gets an alien gun, and he's actually shooting and taking down Decepticons, which the Decepticons are in this movie, but they kind of play a minimal part, a very minimal part, and again towards like the tail end of the movie. It's a very small part. I feel like they would definitely put in more so for the possible sequels, in which they've said that they want to make a 5th and 6th Transformers movie. But yeah, this movie opens up a lot for sequels, and that's maybe one of a couple complaints I have with this movie. The only other complaint is some of the, I have two other complaints, which is one, some of the lines between Jack Rayner's character Shane Dyson and Mark Wahlberg, Cade Yeager, some of the lines between those two are just kind of clunky at times. I don't know, it seemed unnecessary. There's one line where they're talking about saving Tessa, and the Shane character goes, "No, I'm not helping you save your daughter. You're helping me save my girlfriend." I'm just like, that's just an awkward, and just the way he said it too, was just a really awkward line. Like, it didn't need to be there. And then also, probably right around like the 3/4 marks of the movie, there's three villains like at the same time. Which there's the Decepticons, who I said play a very minor part. There's Lockdown, who's got his own agenda, and then there's Harold Attinger, who's got his own agenda. It's like, I don't know who's, you know what I mean? It's a weird dynamic. I don't like it. It just got kind of confusing, Whereas the Decepticons are doing this, but then, Attinger's coming, but then Lockdown's coming. I'm like, there's just a lot of, I don't know, it just seemed like a lot going on. I don't know, it just seemed clunky. Sometimes, a lot of times it works. Sometimes having multiple villains works, Like when we did The Amazing Spider-Man, I thought having multiple villains worked for that movie. But I don't feel like it did with this movie. It just, they tried to put too much into this movie, I feel. But other than that, like I said, it's probably, besides Revenge of the Fallen, my favorite Transformers movie to come out yet. I'm excited to see what they do with future of this franchise, and yeah, if I had to give this movie a rating, I give it a solid 8 out of 10. I'll give it a 7. No, I'll give it an 8.25 out of 10. It's a good movie. I really liked it. It's the first, another big action flick for me to watch. So yeah, thanks for watching, and go check out Transformers Age of Extinction and watch fucking giant dinosaur robots fuck shit up. If Godzilla didn't satisfy your giant dinosaur monster appetite, then definitely watch this movie. I'm rambling right now, so I'm just gonna end it.